Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You know how much we love to really get into a topic.
Really dig in.
Exactly. And today...
we are tackling habits.
Ooh, yeah, habits.
Those sneaky little routines.
They really do. They run our lives.
More than we realize. And we're using Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit as our guide.
Okay, so the power of habit.
It's packed with just eye-opening stories in science.
I'm ready to have my eyes opened.
I think it'll totally change how you see your everyday actions.
So you're saying this isn't just like another self-help pep talk?
Not at all. This is
okay.
Duhigg takes us deep into the neurology of habit formation.
Okay.
He even explores how habits work in people with severe memory loss.
Okay, now that sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
So he introduces us to Eugene Pauly.
Eugene Pauly.
And Eugene suffered brain damage.
Okay.
So severe, he couldn't form new memories.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't remember what he ate for breakfast. Couldn't recognize his own doctor sometimes.
Couldn't form new memories?
But here's the kicker. He could still learn
what?
And perform new habits.
Hold on.
Yeah.
How is that even possible? Like, if you can't remember, how can you learn?
That's what puzzled scientists for years.
Yeah, I'm puzzled.
Eugene's case revealed that habits aren't just about conscious memory. They're controlled by a different part of the brain called the basal ganglia.
So there's a whole separate system in our brains dedicated to just habits.
For habits. And it's ancient, evolutionarily speaking. This system is all about efficiency. Taking over those routine actions. So our conscious minds can focus on other things. I mean, think about it. If you had to consciously think through every step of tying your shoes.
Every single time.
Every single time, you'd never get out the door.
I'd be so late for everything.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how does this brain region actually, form habits?
So that's where the habit loop comes in.
Habit loop, okay.
Duhigg breaks down habit formation into 3 steps.
3 steps, okay.
Cue, routine, reward.
Cue, routine, reward.
Yeah.
Got it.
Think of it like training a rat to run a maze.
Okay, I like this.
The cue might be a click sound at the start.
Okay.
The routine is navigating the maze. And the reward is that yummy cheese.
Of course, the cheese.
And
it's always about the cheese.
It is.
So we're all just fancy rats.
No way, yeah.
Responding to cheese. But seriously, I can see how this applies to everyday life, like my morning coffee routine.
Yes.
The alarm is the cue.
Yeah.
The routine is grinding the beans, brewing, and that first sip.
Ah, yes.
It's the reward.
The reward.
That's what gets me up in the morning.
It is, and that's what's so powerful about understanding this loop.
Yeah.
Once you see the pattern, you can start to change the script.
Okay, so is that it?
Well,
just identify the cue, routine, and reward?
It's not.
And boom, I'm a new person.
Not quite that simple.
Okay.
But it's a powerful starting point.
Okay.
And Duhigg, he gives us tons of real-world examples of how this loop plays out.
Okay.
From advertising to corporate culture.
Wow.
Even social movements.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Give me an example of how this loop works in advertising.
Okay, so think about Pepsodent toothpaste.
Pepsodent, okay.
Back in the early 1900s, it was just another brand on the shelf. Then came Claude C. Hopkins.
Okay.
A marketing whiz.
Oh, great.
Who figured out how to make people crave Pepsodent.
Oh, it craved toothpaste.
Crave toothpaste, yeah.
Oh, how did he do that?
So he created a habit loop.
Okay.
The cue, he focused on that filmy feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone gets on their teeth.
Yes.
The routine, brushing with Pepsodent, of course.
Okay.
And the reward. Beautiful sparkling teeth.
Okay.
Playing into our desire to look and feel good.
So he didn't just sell toothpaste.
No.
He sold the idea of beauty and confidence.
Exactly.
Smart.
Yeah, so
But what's the takeaway here for us?
I think what's fascinating is that Hopkins tapped into a fundamental human drive, this desire for reward.
Okay.
But we can use that same drive to create healthy habits. Think about how good you feel after a workout.
Yes, I do.
That feeling can be just as powerful as a craving for junk food, right?
Okay, I'm starting to see how this habit loop can be used for good or, toothpaste.
Exactly.
But how do we actually go about changing those, ingrained habits?
Right.
Is it all about willpower?
So the willpower plays a role.
Okay.
But it's not the whole story.
Yeah.
Duhigg says the key is to understand the golden rule of habit change.
The golden rule sounds important. Lay it on me.
The golden rule says, keep the same cue and reward.
Okay.
but insert a new routine.
Keep the cue and reward.
Okay. Duhigg shows us how this works.
Okay.
Through the story of Tony Dungy.
Tony Dungy.
Who coached the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, yeah, I remember them. They were kind of a mess.
They were.
Before Dungy took over, weren't they?
They were notorious for losing.
Yeah.
But Dungy believed he could turn things around.
Okay.
By focusing on small, keystone habits.
Keystone habits. What are those?
Think of them as the foundation of your routine, like that first domino.
Oh, okay.
That sets off a chain reaction. They create momentum for other positive changes.
So how did Dungy use these keystone habits to, change the team?
So instead of trying to overhaul everything at once, he honed in on very specific player reactions to cues on the field. He wanted their responses to become automatic.
Automatic. Okay.
Removing hesitation.
Okay.
Like rewiring their brains for success.
So instead of trying to change their entire mindset,
yes,
he focused on changing their automatic reactions to specific situations.
Yes.
Almost like hacking their habit loops.
Exactly. Clever.
And it worked.
Did it really?
Yeah. The Buccaneers went from perennial losers to Super Bowl champions.
That's amazing.
It is.
Dungy basically used the science of habits. He did. To reprogram an entire team.
Yeah, but I'm guessing it wasn't just about the players.
Right. Yeah,
Dungy knew that habits affect everything, from individual performance to the entire team culture.
Okay.
He even worked on changing the habits of the coaching staff. Wow. And the front office. He recognized that these small changes could add up to big results.
So what you're saying is habits don't just shape our lives.
No.
They shape entire organizations.
They shape everything.
That's a powerful thought.
It is. And that raises a really interesting question. If habits are so powerful, are we really in control of our choices?
It's a pretty deep question. Are we just puppets on a string controlled by our habits?
It's not that black and white.
Okay.
Duhigg emphasizes that belief is crucial.
Okay.
For breaking bad habits and forming new ones.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom.
No.
Belief plays a role.
Yes.
Tell me more.
So take Alcoholics Anonymous, for example.
It's not just about replacing drinking with new routines, right?
Yeah.
It's also about fostering belief in recovery.
Okay.
And connecting with a supportive community.
So having faith in something bigger than yourself, believing that change is possible.
Exactly.
It's a key part of the process.
Absolutely. It gives people the strength to challenge those deeply ingrained habits.
And this idea of belief connects back to Dungy and the Buccaneers.
Yes.
He had to instill a belief in his team that winning was possible, despite their history of losses.
Absolutely.
I see. But what about those everyday habits that aren't as life-altering as addiction?
Yeah.
Are there any other examples of these so-called keystone habits?
Absolutely. So remember Paul O'Neill?
Paul O'Neill, okay.
The CEO of Alcoa.
Yeah, the one who transformed the company by focusing on worker safety.
He did.
What was his keystone habit?
It was worker safety.
Really?
He made it his top priority. Wow. Even above profits.
Above profits.
He believed that if they could create a culture of zero accidents, everything else would fall into place.
So this one, focus on safety, had a ripple effect.
It did.
Throughout the entire company.
The entire company. Exactly. It forced them to improve communication, streamline processes, empower employees. It changed their entire mindset.
It's like that saying, take care of the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. Only in this case, it was take care of safety and the profits will take care of themselves.
Precisely. And it goes beyond business, too. Think about Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps.
And his pre-race routine.
Oh, yeah, that was legendary. Didn't he have this whole elaborate ritual?
He did.
He did before every race?
His coach understood the power of keystone habits and designed this meticulous routine to help Phelps get in the zone.
Wow.
It was about more than just physical preparation.
Yeah.
It was about mental focus.
So this routine became his trigger to enter, Phelps mode.
Phelps mode, exactly.
Dominate the competition.
Exactly. The routine itself wasn't magical or anything, but it was his keystone. It was his anchor for achieving that peak performance state.
That's really fascinating. So we've got worker safety.
Yes.
And Olympic swimming routines.
Right.
Any other examples that hit a little closer to home for us regular folks?
What about food journaling?
Food journaling, okay.
It sounds simple, maybe even a little tedious.
Yeah.
But it can be a powerful keystone habit for weight loss and healthier eating.
I've tried that before, and I was surprised by how much I was mindlessly snacking throughout the day. Just becoming aware of it made me make better choices.
That's the power of awareness.
Yeah.
It's the first step in breaking those unconscious patterns.
Okay.
Duhigg also talks about Starbucks.
Starbucks. Oh, I like this example.
And their employee training program, which uses a method called LTT.
Now that's a habit I can get behind. Tell me, what's the secret ingredient in this LTT method?
So it stands for listen, acknowledge, take action, thank, and explain.
Okay, so LATT.
LATTE, exactly.
I like it.
It's a framework for responding to customer situations.
Okay.
With calm and consistency, even those challenging encounters.
So it's like a habit loop for dealing with stress.
Yes.
Turning potentially negative interactions into positive ones.
Into positive ones, yeah. It gives employees a script to follow, so they're not just reacting emotionally.
That's brilliant. I like that.
And it's not just about customer service. It's about creating a work environment where people feel empowered and supported.
Okay.
Which brings us to kind of a more sobering side of habits.
Okay.
How they can contribute to disasters.
Oh, so the dark side of habits.
The dark side, yeah.
Give me an example.
So Duhigg uses the 1987 King's Cross station fire in London as a case study.
The King's Cross fire.
This tragedy, which killed 31 people, was partly caused by deeply ingrained organizational habits.
That's terrifying. How did habits contribute to a fire?
So the investigation found that the station had a culture of rigid adherence to rules and a lack of communication between departments.
So a very siloed environment where everyone was just focused on their own little area.
Exactly. And because of this, warning signs were missed, safety procedures were overlooked.
Oh, wow.
They were so stuck in their routines that they failed to see the bigger picture.
Wow. That's a powerful reminder that habits can have unintended consequences.
They can.
Even deadly ones.
Yes, and it highlights the need for flexibility and communication within organizations, especially in high-risk environments.
Okay, I'm getting a bit nervous now. Are we ever truly in control? It feels like we're surrounded by habits, both good and bad.
We are.
Yeah.
But don't worry, awareness is key. Duhigg also explores how companies are using our digital footprints to predict and even manipulate our habits.
Yeah, that's a bit creepy. I've heard about how Target can predict when someone's pregnant based on their purchases. How do they do that?
So Target uses data analysis to look for patterns in customer behavior.
Okay.
They noticed that women in their second trimester start buying certain things in bulk.
Like what?
Unscented lotion, cotton balls, vitamins, that sort of thing.
Interesting. I never would have thought those are pregnancy-related purchases.
Right.
But I guess it makes sense.
And by identifying these patterns, Target can then send targeted coupons and ads to those customers, encouraging them to buy even more.
That's pretty clever from a marketing perspective.
It is.
But I can see how some people would find it invasive.
Absolutely. It raises a lot of ethical questions about privacy and data collection.
Yeah.
And it shows how companies are getting increasingly sophisticated in their understanding of our habits and how to influence them.
So what's the takeaway here? What can we do to protect ourselves from being manipulated by these marketing tactics?
So I think awareness is the first step.
Okay.
By understanding how these companies are using our data, we can make more conscious choices about what we buy and how we interact with brands.
That makes sense. Okay, so we've talked about individual habits, organizational habits, even corporate habits. Yeah. What about those bigger societal habits? Can those be changed?
Absolutely. So Duhigg uses the Montgomery bus boycott as an example of how social habits driven by strong social ties can create massive change.
That was such a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement.
It was.
How does it tie into habits?
So Rosa Parks' arrest was the initial spark.
Okay.
But it was the strong social connections within the Black community that fueled the boycott's success.
Okay.
People trusted and supported each other, creating social pressure to participate. They were all in it together.
So those close relationships, that sense of community, were key to overcoming the existing social habit of segregation.
Exactly. And it's a powerful example of how social habits can be harnessed for positive change. It's not just about individual willpower.
It's about collective action and a shared belief in a better future.
This whole conversation is making me rethink how I view my own choices.
It is.
It's both fascinating and a little unsettling.
It is.
To realize how much of our lives is driven by these unseen forces.
Exactly. And that brings us to one of the most challenging questions Duhigg raises. The question of free will. If habits are so powerful, are we truly in control of our actions?
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, if our actions are so heavily influenced by these automatic patterns, where does free will come in?
Yeah, it's a question that has puzzled philosophers for centuries.
Yeah.
And Duhigg doesn't claim to have all the answers.
Okay.
But he does present some thought-provoking case studies that really challenge our assumptions about choice and responsibility.
Like what? Give me an example.
So he tells the story of Angie Bachman. A woman whose gambling habit spiraled out of control.
It started innocently, but eventually took over her life, leading to financial ruin.
Oh, no.
And strained relationships.
So her habit, her addiction, basically hijacked her decision-making ability.
Exactly. She knew gambling was causing her harm, but she couldn't stop.
Wow.
She was trapped in that loop of craving, routine, and reward.
That's so sad. It makes you realize how powerful these urges can be.
Right.
Especially when they're tied to addiction.
It does, and it raises questions about how much control we really have when these urges take over.
Right.
Duhigg also discusses a more extreme case.
Okay.
The story of Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas.
Who killed his wife while sleepwalking.
Oh my gosh, while sleepwalking. Yeah. So he was completely unconscious during the act?
That's what the evidence suggests. He had no memory of the event.
Wow.
And was actually acquitted of murder.
Wow.
Based on his sleepwalking defense.
That's both fascinating and disturbing. It really blurs the lines of responsibility.
It does.
If someone commits an act while sleepwalking, can they be held accountable?
It's a really complex legal and ethical dilemma.
Yeah.
And it forces us to consider if someone can commit an act without conscious intent, how much control do any of us truly have?
Okay, so we're surrounded by habits.
We are.
Some helpful, some harmful, and some downright dangerous.
Some dangerous.
Is there any hope? Can we ever break free from these patterns?
Absolutely. Duhigg's book isn't just about highlighting the power of habits.
Okay.
It's also about empowering us to change them. Remember, knowledge is power.
So it's not about feeling defeated.
No.
It's about understanding how these habits work so we can take control.
Exactly. And Duhigg provides a practical framework for habit change in the appendix of his book.
Okay, tell me more about this framework. Give me the steps.
All right, so first, you need to identify the routine.
Right.
What is the specific behavior you want to change?
So for me, it might be mindlessly scrolling through social media before bed.
Okay, so next, experiment with rewards.
Okay.
What is the actual reward you're getting from that behavior? Is it the social connection, the distraction from stress, or something else?
Interesting. So it's about figuring out what's really driving the habit.
Exactly.
Not just the surface level action.
Exactly. Once you've isolated the reward, you can start to look for the cue.
A cue.
What triggers the routine? Is it a certain time of day, location, an emotional state?
So in my example, the cue might be feeling tired and stressed after a long day.
Right. And finally, the most important step, have a plan.
Have a plan.
This means having a specific, actionable strategy for replacing the old routine with a new one.
So instead of scrolling through social media, I might read a book or meditate?
Exactly. It's about making a conscious choice and creating a new pattern.
This framework is great.
It is.
It breaks down habit change into manageable steps.
It does.
It's not just about willpower. It's about understanding the mechanics of the habit loop.
Yeah.
And finding ways to work with it.
That's the key takeaway. Habits are powerful, but they're not destiny.
I like that.
By understanding the cues, routines, and rewards that drive our behavior, we can start to make conscious choices and create the lives we want.
This whole deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
Good.
I'm starting to see my own habits in a new light.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling more empowered to make some changes.
That's great to hear. And remember, it's about progress, not perfection.
Okay.
Start small, focus on one habit at a time, and celebrate those wins along the way.
That's excellent advice. Well, folks, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the power of habit.
We have.
I hope you found this exploration as insightful and thought-provoking as I have.
It's been a pleasure exploring this fascinating topic with you.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring.
Yes.
Pay attention to your own habits and ask yourself, are they serving you?
Good question.
Are they helping you create the life you want?
The life you want, yeah.
Remember, habits are tools.
They are.
Used wisely, they can help us achieve great things.
Yeah.
But if we're not mindful, they can also hold us back.
They can.
So the next time you reach for your phone, bite your nails, or hit that snooze button, take a moment to reflect.
Yeah.
Understand the habit loop at play.
That's it.
And ask yourself, is this the choice I want to make?
Because with a little awareness and effort, you can rewrite your own script.
Yeah.
And create a life that's driven by conscious choices.
Yeah.
Not just automatic patterns.
That's a great note to end on.
I think so.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Of course.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.
Keep growing.
And keep questioning those habits.
Absolutely.
See you next time.